Hey, and welcome to my journey. Today's video is another meal prep while I'm getting ready for bariatric surgery. Keep in mind, this is not my pre-op diet, which is very strict. This is just where I'm trying to ease myself into the no carbs for those 2 weeks. I figure the less carbs I can eat now, the easier it will be on me to make that transition, especially because I love my carbs. So what I have today, 2 different recipes, 2 different websites, very simple. I have almond flour, lemon berry muffins, and for both of these recipes, I'll do what I usually do. I will just link the original recipe, and on my website with that link, I will just tell you what I changed because they're basically the same recipe, just a few little tweaks. So that one, I will have a muffin with some eggs because like I said in my menu plan, if you watch that, I can't just eat a muffin. That will not sustain me for an hour. I'll be looking for something to eat way before lunchtime. So I'll have an egg or 2 with that. And then for lunch, I have cheesesteak stuffed peppers. Again, another simple recipe. The hardest thing about it is just doing the chopping, but that was no big deal. So I will tell you the changes I made for that one. And I have not tasted it because I only have what I have for my lunch prep, but I can tell you they smell delicious, and I think they're gonna be delicious. With the ingredients, I don't see how it could be wrong. I just don't. So, and it's a keto recipe. I think, no, the muffins are not keto because they have honey in them. So I'm assuming that would not be considered keto. But this recipe is called keto for the stuffed peppers, just in case you're doing that and you want to know. So that is all. That's all there is to talk about. It's my 2 little recipes. So let's just turn around and get started cooking. We're going to start with our muffins. In here, I've already whisked it together because I got too small of a bowl and I was afraid I was going to make a mess on camera. But I got 2 cups of almond flour, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, and an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And just whisk that together. I'm going to set that aside. Now, the recipe says use a stand mixer, but it says use the whisk attachment. So I'm assuming a hand mixer would work the same. I think it would, but it said use a stand mixer, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Now, what I have in here, this is 2 eggs and 2 egg whites. Now, I'm not going to mix it together on the stand because my arms will be completely in front of you, and nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. So I'm going to tell you what we're putting in it. We got 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. This is fresh lemon juice. This is actually on the nose from half of a large lemon. And then it calls for a teaspoon of lemon zest, but I went ahead and zested the whole lemon because I thought, well, why waste it? Could it be too lemony? I don't think so. And then a quarter cup of honey, and mine just keeps seizing up on me, so I just keep heating it. You can do that. I've done it for years. When I have it go bad, don't throw it away. And if you spray the inside of your measuring cup, it'll come out as easily as that did right there. And then 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I've heard of olive oil bread, olive oil muffins, but I've never made any that I can recall. Now, this being almond flour, I don't know if you can substitute applesauce or not because it's so dense. I don't know how big a difference that would make. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, all I have to do is whisk this until it is completely combined. So hang on just a minute. Okay, so here it is all mixed up. And then we need to slowly add the almond flour while the mixer's running at medium speed, just until it's combined. Okay, here is the mixture. I'll scrape that down off the sides. But you can see it's just a nice moist texture. And then we need to fold in 1 cup of blueberries. I'm using the Maine wild blueberries. I got them at either Costco or Sam's. I can't remember now. But the wild blueberries have, you can see they're frozen, so it's turning my batter purple, which does not bother me. Which I don't know if they're thawed. I'm fresh, they wouldn't do that, but frozen, probably thawed or not thawed. But they supposedly have like twice the antioxidants and all the healthy stuff that blueberries give you. They have more of it. It's more concentrated. Now, we just need to scoop these into 12 lined muffin cups. And it says use a cookie scoop, so I'm going to assume I can get all 12 out of 1 scoop. We shall see. Okay, so there are our 12 muffins. That worked perfectly with the large cookie scoop. These will bake at 350 preheated for 25 minutes, but I'm going to check them. My oven, it cooks hot, so I'm going to check them after 20 just to make sure. My muffins cooked for 25 minutes. I checked them after 20. Some of them were still a little soft in the top, so I added that extra 5, and you can see they come out nice and browned. Now, I baked mine in the full muffin cups, muffin liners, because I never have good success with the paper ones. So these are my favorite. Use your discretion. The thing just says line muffin pan, and so use whichever ones you want, but I don't have success with the paper. Now here I cut one open so you can see the middle. I've already eaten half because I wanted to let you know it is very moist. I don't think I've ever had an almond flour muffin this moist, and I bet that's from the olive oil. Now they're not very sweet. They're sweet enough, I think, although it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they were a little sweeter, maybe with a little added sugar substitute to it, a couple tablespoons maybe. There again, use your discretion. But they're very lemony. Oh, the lemon flavor is wonderful. And for an almond flour muffin, they're not dense. Most of the muffins or breads I've ever made with almond flour have been very dense. These have texture, obviously, because it's not your sifted white flour, fluffy white flour. So they're going to have texture, but if you're used to that almond flour texture, it's not going to bother you because you know what to expect. You go into these knowing what to expect. So I think they're a success. I really like them. So that will be my breakfast this week. For our stuffed peppers, I only need 4 green pepper halves, but I needed part of a red pepper, and I thought just in case I have enough filling for a 5th one, I'll go ahead and cut it in half and put it in there, and if not, then I'll chop it up and use it for something, or I'll cut it in strips, eat it with some cottage cheese, something like that. So I'm going to set these aside. Now I've started to preheat my pan. I'm going to hit it with just a little bit of cooking oil, and this is 8 ounces of shaved steak. Now the recipe calls for, hold on, a top sirloin steak that you cook the steak and then slice it, but I had this in the freezer and I wanted to use it up, so I think it's going to work equally as good. So what I did, they come from Costco, and they're just little thin shaved steaks, and I just cut them into smaller pieces and season it with some house seasoning or salt and pepper, and then we're going to just cook these until they're done. Okay, my meat is cooked, and I scooped it out the best I could to not get any extra liquid in here. And the rest of it I poured off, and I wiped my pan out because I don't want all that liquid, because these vegetables are going to give off some too. What I have here is 1 cup. Their recipe calls for julienne and thinly sliced vegetables. Mine are basically chopped. I don't have the patience for all that fancy knife work or the skills, to tell you the truth. So that is just a cup of chopped mushrooms, a cup of chopped red pepper, no, a half a cup, and a half a cup of chopped red onion. I'm also going to season this with a little house seasoning. And we're just going to cook these until they're done. While these are cooking, we're going to come over here and mix up the, I guess you could call it a dressing that goes on it. The recipe calls for mixing all this on top of the vegetables and meat and then stirring it in, but I didn't think it's going to get mixed up very good, so I am putting it in a small bowl first. I have 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, and I'm using regular Dukes because the calories for this are already counted for mayonnaise and not light mayonnaise, so I didn't feel like changing it. So I have 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, a half a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/4 cup of mozzarella cheese. And so we're just going to mix this up a little bit and set it aside until all our vegetables are done. I don't know how this is going to mix in, but trust the process, right? Okay, if you can see, the onions started to get translucent. That's as far as you want to go. You don't want to burn your onions, because I about burn it not paying attention anyway. The peppers are not as soft as I would like them to be, but surely they'll cook a little bit more while they're in the oven. Now I just want to mix this around a little bit, and we're going to try to stir in our cheese mixture. Okay, let's see how this works. The vegetables and everything being hot just might help, might work to our advantage. It's going together pretty good. Okay, that actually did stir in really well. So let's get the peppers back over here. Gosh, these peppers were so big. Looking at this amount of filling, I might not even have to use all of them, because that was the only size peppers they had, were huge. So we're going to just start filling our peppers up. These might take a little longer than 30 minutes because they're so thick as well. They're not just big in size, they're really thick-skinned. So let me finish filling these. So I was right. I can only fill 3 of them. The calories will change, but I can just do the math and figure that out and do a quick add. That's no problem. Now it'll make it a little bit heavier on my day, but probably not by that much. Anyway, these will bake at 400 degrees for 30 minutes, but I'm going to check for tenderness because I really don't want a crunchy pepper. So I'll let you know how long. Well, let me tell you right off, don't get the humongous peppers. Get the smaller, normal size peppers so you can get a full recipe's worth. So let me pop these in the oven and I'll tell you how long mine had to bake. This week I'm having almond flour lemon blueberry muffins for breakfast. I'll just have one with some eggs. David can eat them as a snack because I am not going to eat 12 days worth of muffins for breakfast. That's the only thing. It makes 12, so that would be good if you have a family, or you probably could freeze these. I bet you could. So if he doesn't eat them, I'll probably do that. And then for lunch, the cheesecake stuffed peppers. I did bake these for 30 minutes. I tested them and they're tender enough for me, which is good because you see they were starting to get pretty brown on top. And I didn't want to go any further with that. So I think these are going to be good because they smell delicious in here. I'm sorry I had to cut off abruptly. That was David calling. and I did not feel like refilming, so that's why that happened. But anyway, that is all I have for you this week. If you do some prep, I hope it helps you stay on track this week. And if you want to let me know below what you prepped, I would love to hear it. So that'll do it for me. And I hope you're having a good weekend. And I'm not sure when I'll see you next, so I will just see you when I see you.